Okay, welcome back everyone to the Washfields Hive. I've had a couple of emails and texts from various people around the area at the moment that there's been an outbreak of American foul brood, which is a pretty serious brood disease that can affect and can kill the colony. I'm a bit nervous about opening this hive up. As a beginner beekeeper, you're sort of still learning the ropes at the moment, and I'd hate to open up the hive now and find that there's something, but you know, we'll see what happens. I'd also like to see how they're doing with the super that I put on, whether they're bringing in enough nectar to fill it up yet or not. So yeah, let's crack on with the inspection and see what happens. The other thing I forgot to mention is today is going to be pretty much a disease check, so I'm looking obviously for the American European foul brood. I'm also going to do a sugar roll and show you how to do that, which is a like a mite count. Bees have a pest called the Varroa mite, and there are lots of methods on how to do it. You can dust the frames with icing sugar and put a sticky floor so that the mites will get cleaned off by the bees and drop to the bottom. There's various methods involving alcohol and killing hundreds of bees at a time, which I'm not a particular fan of for obvious reasons. So I'm going to use the sugar roll method, and I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to open up this hive and carry out a standard inspection, and then we'll do the sugar roll. It's an empty super. So I think this is the frame that I'm going to take my sample of bees from. Make sure the queen's not on this frame, because I don't want to accidentally place her into the sugar rolling jar. So I have with me here a small container and a jar. Okay, so I've got a kilner jar with a mesh screen. Got a small, this is a quarter cup measuring cup, so I'll use 2 of those. Some number 8 mesh and the kilner lid. Into my container. Just going to that's a bit better. Into the jar. Alright, so I don't think we've got quite 300 bees, but that's not the end of the world. Ice and sugar in this little thing here. I'm just going to add a couple of tablespoons with my hive tool. And I'm just going to very gently just coat the bees with the sugar. This may seem like I'm hurting the bees, but I assure you when they come out of here they'll be fine. And then all I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this jar for a couple of minutes. What the bees will want to do, they're going to give themselves a good clean, and any mites that are sticking to them they will clean off, and I'll collect at the end. So I'm going to leave those there for a little bit and carry on with the inspection. As I put my hive tool, I do say never put your hive tool down, and I put it down and I can't find it. That's it. Next frame. Nice heavy frame. Another queen cup at the bottom. as well. Nothing in it. Wunderbar. Lots of pollen they brought in. Lots of emerging brood. Nice heavy frame. Full of nectar. Absolute chock-a-block with nectar. Last frame, and then I'm going to relieve the bees from their sugar roll experience. Nice. This is the frame that they'd completely messed up, tearing holes in it, and it's not a very nice frame. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move it further into the brood nest. So they've punched holes in it, they've drawing frame wherever they wanted on it, and now they've tidied it up nicely. Okay bees, right, in here I've got some regular water into this little Tupperware, and what that will do, when I shake the mites off, any sugar that's in there will dissolve in the water. So all I'm doing, I'm just quite vigorously, but not enough to harm the bees, I'm shaking the sugar off. So that's looking really good. I know it's a very small sample of bees, and with this method I can safely return these bees to the colony and they will be absolutely fine. So what I'm going to do, I'll try and count them out, but it might be a bit tricky. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 10. It's about 70 bees in that sample, so it's probably not enough for it's definitely not enough for a full sample, but I think that's just because, you know, I'm on my own, I'm struggling to get that sample. So frame we're going to have a look at. There's stacks and stacks of nectar in this hive. They're not interested in taking it up to the super above them. Still no signs of the queen, which is frustrating. I do know she's here because there she is. Beauty. Okay. She is there. Move over a bit. Okay, so that's good. I've seen the queen. I'll do as well. I will do another sugar roll sample, so collect them directly in the jar this time. 5. About 80 bees in that sample. So in this little pan, I've got no mites at all, which is good. Absolutely none. So I'm just going to tip that water away. Check the lid as well, because they can get stuck under there, but can't see any signs of mites there either, so I'm just going to pop everything back in the toolbox. So the bees that had the powdered sugar treatment are now getting all cleaned up by their fellow workers. I didn't find any mites in that, which again, I know it was a relatively small sample, but I didn't see any mites at all. There's no evidence of any other bee diseases like AFB or EFB, European and American foul brood, which is a good sign. So I'm just going to encourage the bees down back into the brood nest, and we'll hive them up, we'll shut them up, and that'll be the inspection done. So that's the inspection and disease inspection done. No noticeable diseases that I could see, no other issues. I did a sugar roll for checking the Varroa and didn't see any of them, so again, it was a relatively small sample. There's probably about 150 bees in total. Proper sample would be 300 bees, but I just couldn't get enough bees in one sample. I'm going to try that again when I go over and inspect the home hive, which I'll be doing that today as well. With the fact that we've had an AFB outbreak, when I go over there I'm going to dispose of these gloves. Even though I'm happy these bees haven't got AFB, the spores might be present on my gloves, and then I'll go and inspect the other hive, and they then get AFB, all because I didn't change my gloves or clean my hive tool, which are the two main sort of, you've got your hands in with the bees, and if you have your hive tool as well, it gets covered in propolis and everything else. So I'm going to clean and change both of those and go over there. I'm going to go back home now and go and inspect the girls in the hive at home, so I'll see you over there. So I've changed my gloves, cleaned my hive tool, and I've cleaned out the sugar roll jar. So yeah, let's get the strap off. Let's see how these girls are doing. So we've got an empty frame, queen cup on here, got another queen cup, which I'm just going to remove. There she is, right on that frame there. See if that will focus. Nice and easy to spot now. This is the frame that I'm going to take my sample off. So what I'm going to do, it's going to be the same as Washfields. Just going to rest my frame there for the moment. I've got my sample jar. This time, instead of trying to shake the bees into a smaller container, I'm just going to drawing the jar down the frames, you sort of roll the bees into the sample jar. I think that will do me. So I don't think there's 300 bees in there somehow, but roll the bees around. So this is when the bees I've got to leave the bees for at least 2 minutes just to give themselves a chance to clean up, raise the temperature in that jar a bit, and it will encourage the mites to fall off. So I'm going to move the rest of this hive back. I'll give you an up close of this jar. So the bees in here are busy cleaning themselves, raising the temperature, and any mites that they brush off or clean off will end up in the icing sugar, and they won't be able to clamber back onto the bees. I will shake the container. I'm being quite vigorous, but not enough to really hurt the bees. I'm going to let these bees out now, they've suffered enough, so when I do, I'm just going to do a very quick count, try and count them out as best I can. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 130, 140, 150 bees in that sample again, so not as large as I'd like, but it will give us a sample, it will give us something. Oh, we've got, okay, so 2 Varroa Mites. Right, okay, I'm going to do my best to pike out one of these pesky mites. I don't have a microscope, so my camera's going to have to do. So here on the end of this stick, that is a Varroa mite, and in that quick sugar shake we got 2. You want to control them. If they get, you know, large numbers, they do feed on the brood, so the developing brood. These will hang out in the cells of predominantly drone bees. Hello everyone, just thought I'd mention briefly that the main reason that Varroa mites breed within the drone cells is because drones are in their cells for a lot longer than normal workers. They are in the cells for a total of 24 days. This allows the Varroa mites a second breeding cycle. Varroa mites have a 10-day breeding cycle, so it gives the Varroa mites another chance to have another round of successful offspring. So yeah, that's the main reason. These are the females. The males are white, so she'll go into an open cell, and she will then have multiple offspring all in the same cell. So 2 Varroa mites out of the 150 bee sample is, I'd say, acceptable. Obviously I'd like to get a larger amount of bees, but I don't want to be too invasive in that hive. They don't have quite the number of bees I thought they had. Especially in a full-size hive, they look a bit like they've got much more room to make up. So yeah, that's the Varroa mite. Okay, so that's both inspections now done. Couple of Varroa mites in that sample. I only did one sample of about 150 bees, so that's not too bad considering. I've seen the queen, lots of healthy brood. They've got plenty of space to draw out. As I said, over at Washfields we've had a recent outbreak of American foul brood in the area. That's why I'm not moving these bees this weekend. That was going to be the plan. I was going to move them down to an apiary in Malden and then move them back so that they could then go over, so they're all on the same apiary in Malden. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.